Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. This is a dull morning in Kyiv, Ukraine. And what about you? What's the weather like?
Well, I'm in Budapest, and it's cloudy. It's quite cold, relatively cold. So we're dressed up really warm now. Yes.
Good. Please meet Gabriella. She's a wonderful language coach, and today I would like to talk about who a language coach is and how to become one.
Okay.
So, who is a language coach? Because nowadays I know that a lot of teachers call themselves language coaches.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And it's a wonderful thing that there are more and more language coaches internationally, so not just in certain areas, but all over the world. I usually talk about the differences between teachers, trainers, and coaches, because all of them have their own speciality. Teachers wish to impart knowledge and help learners understand and learn new things. For example, to learn a new language, okay? And they help them, they give them advice, and they give them a lot of activities and try to lead them along the way and reach a certain proficiency in the language. So maybe some students want to finish their school or pass their school exam, so that's the goal. Maybe some language teachers work for language schools and they want them to pass language exams, so that can be a goal. Or some teachers might be helping people with workplace language that they need to use. Trainers will be much more focused on supporting and providing very, very relevant, practical, situations, scenarios, phrases and panels that they can work with in a specific situation. For example, at the workplace, or if they're, for example, preparing for a job interview, a trainer can train them to learn the different models that are involved in job interviewing, so they can be more aware of what kind of answers are expected. A teacher is not really expected to be, for example, proficient in that kind of thing necessarily, although there are a lot of language teachers who do prepare people for job interviews, but that's a very specialized niche, okay? Now, a language coach, on the one hand, wants the learner, or in coaching terms, the client, to be better in the language that they want to learn. But the goal is not to teach them or to advise them on what to do, because coaching is not about telling people what to do. It's about, in a very, how shall I put it, being in partnership with the client, with the learner. They explore and discover ways that the learner can understand more about how they can reach their goals. And to do that, a coach will ask a lot of questions, will get the client thinking about what resources they have, what kind of strengths they already possess, and look around at how they can reach the goals they have. And the coach will then support them in preparing for that goal. Okay, so these are in very briefly, these are the differences between these three goals. I don't know whether I answered your question, but this is how it works. This is how I work. Okay, so I never give advice. I don't tell people what to do, but I work a lot with people in workplaces, in companies, and I support them in understanding their communication in the target language, which for me is English, and we work on how they can become better communicators in the target language. And we talk about this, and it's a very, very open conversation, and it invites them to think about things that they hadn't thought about earlier, about their own learning in the workplace, their own communication in the workplace. So it's very exciting.
Do you use books, course books?
No, no, I don't. No, no, no. In coaching, you don't particularly prepare. You don't use books. Maybe you will take in a handout, but that's not language focused. It's just for awareness raising. Okay. So the focus is not for us as coaches to teach the language. It's much more to create an awareness and an understanding of where the learner is stuck, for example. So if they're not motivated, let's say, then we look at ways to become motivated again, okay? Or if they feel that they do not have language skills, then we look at what the reason behind that belief might be. It could be a limiting belief, which means that people have told them that, well, you're not a good language learner, you'll never pass your exam. And they believe that, you know, and that's something which is not true.
Usually it happens at school, you know.
It happens a lot, yes.
They were told at school that you are lame at learning foreign languages, and then they are adults, grown-ups, 30, 40, 50, and they say like, hey, I'm not good at learning languages and I will never do that.
Absolutely. So that's a typical situation where a learner will come to me with this kind of issue and say, look, I'm just not making progress. I've been to a lot of teachers. The teachers are fine. The problem is with me. And that's what we start working on, okay? So when someone says, okay, I'm the problem, I'm part of the problem that I can't learn a language. And the problem starts, of course, is when they believe this. And I start working with them in partnership, okay? So I don't tell them what to do, but I just start gently probing, you know, asking questions about where is this coming from? So we have a look at a little bit at their language learning history. And then we
in English.
In English. Mm-hmm. In English, if this is also something which is an issue for the client, for the learner, then we use the mother tongue. So that's okay. Because the goal is not for us to be using the language. That's an additional thing. So language coaching is not about coaching in another language. It's about helping the learner to become a better learner, to become a better communicator by understanding how they can be better. Okay?
Okay, so just to be clear, say if I am your client and right now we are having a Skype session, online session.
Okay.
How would our lesson start and what would be next? So number one is I understood that we will not have any course books.
Right, okay. Well, it usually starts first of all with a chemistry session, which means we have a phone call or a meeting and we discuss what the framework is. So I explain these things very first time. And only after that do we agree to work together. So if there's no chemistry, if there's no, you know, we see that we cannot work together because we just simply see things completely differently and there's no cooperation between us, then that's the end of the story, okay? So it's not like something that you have to do. It has to be based on the will and the need of the learner. Okay, so the way we would start is we would discuss how we should like to put these sessions together, okay? And in the beginning, we don't even know how long the sessions will be. So maybe I'm offering a package of like 3 occasions, 10 occasions, whatever. And it's up to the client to decide. And we have a conversation about how long this process should be or could be, okay? So starting with that. Also, what would they like to focus on? Okay, so we address the issues together. So very often,
for example, yeah.
Okay. So I usually go in just to illustrate. So why I'm not using a book and things like that. I go into to meet clients with a piece of paper and a pen. That's all. Okay. So for teachers, this is about basically it's about if you want to move from teacher to coach. It's about letting go of control completely. So it's not about, I know everything and I know how I'm going to teach you. You're going to be a better learner because I'm going to teach you present perfect, and I can identify 3 vocabulary areas where you seem weaker. And we're going to focus on those, and then you will be a better learner. Coaching doesn't work like that. Coaching will say, okay, how do you feel? What's your connection with the language? What is it that you see as a strength of yours when you're learning the language? Is there anything that you would like to focus on that has been missing in the past for you as a language learner? What preferences do you have? Now, I know there's a lot of discussion about, learning styles, whether they exist or not.
Yes.
I do believe that adults have preferences because they're adults. They are thinking human beings, and they can decide what works for them and what does not. Okay. For example, I know that I'm not audio. So if I have to listen to something and learn through listening, it doesn't work for me.
However, I read that, for example, you do not get things better when you listen to something, but teachers should give you like audio exercises with the audio for you to train this skill, to develop it. Or for example, you do not get information good enough visually, but still teachers should give information. Like, what do you think about it?
Absolutely. So the 4 skills have to be developed. We're not talking about the teaching aspect. We're talking about what works for the learner, what they think could help them to be better learners. So if somebody is very visual, then at home, why shouldn't they make use of that skill? My daughter, for example, is very audio. So she watches films and she picks up the language by listening. And that's a wonderful advantage for her. I cannot do that because I'm visual. So I have to see it written down or on a PPT slide or in a book. So I'm completely different. And I take advantage of that. So I think it's a combination of understanding what kind of learner you are, what works for you. And it's the teacher's job then to improve the listening skills or whatever. That's a teaching job. That's different. Okay. So, and then we would discuss, so what's in the background of what is not working, and what is very important is we push towards the goals. So this, let's say you would like to pass an exam, but you've tried many things and nothing is working, okay? So we look at what it is that has happened in the past and what should be going on in the future. What options have not been taken seriously yet? What could be made use of, utilized? What's that one step that if the client started working on could begin a process of positivity for the learner? Okay, so these kind of things. So I'm not teaching them, I'm helping them to learn.
Do you give them homework?
Yes, yeah. I don't call it homework, okay? It's, for example, it's reflection time, or a coaching tool which can be very effective with some clients can be journaling. So just write down your thoughts next week about your language learning. Just write down these thoughts. And we can discuss these next week when we meet in our next session and see what do these thoughts mean for you? What are they triggering? Are they positive? Are they negative? What are they circling around? What conclusions can you draw from these? And of course, we go deeper into it, but I mean, without anything concrete, it's a bit difficult to say.
Is it usually one-to-one sessions or group sessions?
It can be both, depending once again on what the setting is. Usually it's one-to-one, but group coaching is also an option if they have the same goals and they are the same level. So then it can work. Then an extra dimension comes in, which is helping them to learn from each other. So sharing their knowledge that they have And usually this works in a training setting or a teaching setting where you combine teaching, training with coaching. So it wouldn't be pure coaching necessarily, but you would be mixing the elements, okay? So this coaching mindset is something I think is ideal for all teachers and trainers because it can add to your existing teaching or training experience. And that's what I believe in.
Nice. I would like this to be, so one piece, right now we're going to finish with Gabriella. In the description of the video, I will write down Gabriella's blog, right?
Well, we have a website, International Language Coaching Association, where we offer courses for teachers. So yeah, happy
also,
to be there.
I will state a link where you can find Gabriella online on Facebook. She writes wonderful posts, so be sure not to miss it. And in our next video, we will be talking about how to become a language coach. So this is what most of you ask me, how to become, and we will find the answers. I wish you an amazing day and be sure not to miss the next videos.
Yep, definitely.